Mr. Duncan, take it right, Duncan. I broke you in, Mr. Duncan. I have one. Duncan, take it right, Duncan. I found out, Duncan. Kevin! If you miss him, Mr. Duncan is my own money. Spotted me. I have one. A TV. Explosion with your blunt, my family nutritious.
That's a powerful sip.
Yeah. Careful hitting that desk.
Because we have never lost power here at this studio.
That's true.
It's incredible.
It really
knock on
is.
some-
It's a blessing, and it's also a curse because everyone else gets to take time off work, but we don't.
No,
snow days.
Hey,
We are here for you. We did have to
We are
reschedule
here.
a Change My Mind, though. Mass motor fraud is real.
Wait.
Ban me, bro. So, we have a lot to get to today. Today, listen, I just want to let you know we'll have a little bit of personal reflection on a hero of mine and a lot of people in here, Rush Limbaugh. So it's not necessarily, well, it is breaking news, unfortunately, his passing, but a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Don't worry, we still have plenty of clips from Joe Biden from the town hall.
They're deep in there.
Misstated facts regarding vaccines, as well as the new gun control bill, which is really important because they're using the crime wave to try and push that on you.
Interesting.
Yeah, the crime wave, so they need to institute gun control. We have Gerald A. is here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
I'm done. How are you?
Yeah, a little winded.
It's because of the sip.
It's because I was running around trying to get my knee brace on. Quarter Black is here.
Yo,
I won't
what's up?
tell you who's in third chair. Don't do that.
Oh, don't hold it.
I won't tell you who's in third chair yet. Hold it down. What's it? Hold it down?
Hold
it down.
down.
Lay it down?
Lay it down.
Lay it down?
Wait, what?
Is that a thing?
You hold
How
it
do you-
down.
What's laying
and then
pipe?
you lay it down when you're going to.
Oh, okay.
Laying
This
pipe's
is
something
when you lay
different.
it
You don't
down.
talk about that.
I
on
won't
the
show
show.
you third chair yet
It's
because
family
they're a
show.
big part of the show today, and we actually have some medical advice today on the show, which you're not supposed to dispense on YouTube, but it's actually my doctor.
Helpful.
What's Up, Doc, with Dr. Choi. You've seen him. But first, before we get to all of that, we have to honor our brothers and sisters of different shades with Black History Month.
Yeah.
It's still Arabic. I don't know
That's
why.
my favorite.
To
thing.
appropriate
That's what I love.
is to appreciate.
Yeah.
I saw a black guy doing this once. So,
That's not true.
hit us with some facts. Some facts there, Quarter
not
Black.
true.
Because you have to say it so that I don't get banned.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
It's
it.
just like I can't open up a taco stand.
Yeah. So Rosa Parks, you all know her brave
Yes.
Yes.
acts in
Yeah.
Montgomery, Alabama. But little known fact, she actually jumped in the spotlight with her mixtape, Front Row.
Front Row. Wow. Also
Front
the
Row.
name of a record company. Front Row Records.
Powerful lady. Respect.
She also dangled Vanilla Ice from a balcony.
Oh.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Ninja Turtle Rap 2 just doesn't pay the
Yeah.
bills. Better go flip houses.
Just let him go.
Something else, too. This is also breaking. You have to know about this before we get to Rush Limbaugh and Joe Biden and the gun control bill, which you need to know about, is Ilhan Omar joined TikTok.
Wait. Hold up, wait. One second. Okay.
This is real.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah,
TikTok's the worst.
Okay. Throw it up real quick. Whoa.
A government for the
Oh,
people, by the people. Here's something funny about that. Actually, music is haram, according to Hadith.
no.
Yeah. I think we have a little haram thing. Yeah.
The teeth of the day.
Yeah.
That looks like you're.
It's haram. Music is haram in
yeah.
Islam. So she's just a really bad Muslim. Perfectly acceptable, banging your brother.
Yeah.
And no one tries to, and you can't take that, we
Yeah.
can never take away from her that she married her biological brother.
That's her, yeah.
Even
That's
Snopes has to say, move on. That's the fact check. It is verifiably true. Ilhan Omar, your representative, stooped her brother.
Stephen, let him who hasn't cast the first stones. I mean,
All of us could
Yeah,
throw
let's
stones.
grab
that's true,
some
yeah.
stones
Every
right
single
now.
one of
Grab
us
stones
could
somewhere.
throw stones with, like Dennis the Menace with a slingshot.
what offends me most is the dancing in
Yeah.
the video, more
Honestly,
than anything
yeah.
else.
Well,
And-
you know who it hurts most? Allah. It makes Allah cry, and that's why you have the snowstorms. But again, before we move to
his tears are snow.
Yeah, his tears are snow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
His tears are snow.
He's a cold god.
He's a cold god, a merciless god, and a hateful, vengeful god, but only if you don't convert, submit, or die.
Or pay the tax for a little
while. You have some options
Yeah.
with Islam. Hopefully, coming to an American government to you soon. By the way, who knows? We talk about nepotism. I mean, in her case, she could actually be funneling money to her husband as a company, which could be a violation of campaign finance law. So she could be violating that at the same time while committing nepotism because it's also her brother. Husband and brother.
That is a crazy web.
Husbands, brothers. She says, that's redundant. Okay.
Show me the hadith that forbids it, Stephen.
So before we move on, actually, this is something many of you requested, and Tokunawan was the winner last time between him and my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. But now we have an intern, Choi Jr., who is also fully Asian. And so it's time this week, we're going to be checking in with him for our Asian Rosé-Shoff round 2. There you go. And here we go. This is third chair today. Tokunawan. Tokunawan is here. Now, Tokunawan, you are, in fact, Asian.
Yeah, I'm 1/4 Okinawan.
You're 1/4 Okinawan. I thought you were more
my
than that.
quarter brother.
When you were a baby, you looked really Asian.
Very Asian.
And when you drank and half Asian Bill Richmond drank, who looks full Asian, you were purple.
I was the color of your foot.
You were the color of my foot. And my foot had staph infection.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
And now we have Junior Choi here, whose dad, Dr. Choi, actually, is the What's Up doc, my favorite doctor ever. And you are full Asian, correct?
Yep, full Korean.
Full Korean. Okay. So we're going to see who gets more pink, and that's the winner. Whoever gets the most Asian rosacea. And we're going to have a What's Up Doc segment later for those who are in Mug Club where he'll explain the Asian glow and also serious health consequences. So this isn't safe. All right,
and
go
it's
ahead.
also early.
You're going to start with the shot. So 1 shot of bourbon. We measured this. 1 shot of bourbon for the Asians. Okay. Start that off.
There you go.
Let me see. All the medicine.
I feel
a
like
little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. Good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll check back in with you.
I think Brodigan's probably playing along. He's like, they're drinking. I'll drink.
Well, he's Irish.
He's always
So,
playing along.
He's
He
always,
doesn't
he's
need
not,
a game.
He's not pink. He's just ruddy. My question to you, too, is did any of you guys out there listen to Rush Limbaugh, and have you been following social media since this is kind of where we are. He passed, and of course you see liberals celebrating. And listen, that doesn't really bother me. That's all par for the course. I made jokes when Ted Kennedy died. The difference is Rush Limbaugh never killed someone. So, and then lied about it. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly, she died because of him, but maybe he didn't do it deliberately. So, how do you remember Rush Limbaugh? How did you find out about him? I'm curious. I think this is just the comment section today would be a good section for everyone to just kind of congregate and talk about how you found out about this guy who really changed the face of media landscape. And that's the best thing you can do is just comment. That'll help here on YouTube, and we try and foster a pretty good community.
Yeah.
We don't censor comments. We don't edit them. And most of you are pretty nice, surprisingly.
Surprising
On the YouTube comment section. Usually it's awful.
You don't
It's
expect
nice
that, yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on. By the way, merch store, loudofcuttershop.com. This shirt is available. All right. It's deplatform this. And the Change My Mind shirts. And, of course, we'll be taking your chat on Mug Club later. This show is live Monday through Thursday. Every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this about Rush Limbaugh. Whether you like him or not, when people say he changed the face of media landscape, let me kind of start here from the beginning. You know, AM radio was considered dead at that point. It was considered old. It was considered out of touch. And so they thought, like, oh, no one uses AM radio anymore, and it comes down to bands and all the technical stuff. Everything was moving to FM. And Rush Limbaugh took some AM stations, and he was just a firebrand. He had done the kind of radio that nobody had done before. He had, I don't know how many channels he had. He started with 56, and he ended up with more than 600. And people talk about big numbers on YouTube and stuff like that, and really, before us recently, nothing compared to what Rush would get 27 million weekly listeners.
Wow.
On his show.
I would say that's a lot.
Yeah, and that's why the left really hated it, because he had power. This was a guy who single-handedly changed the face of modern conservatism, which is, he did a lot, okay? And that's why we may not remember, but President Trump, a man kind of after his own heart, did this.
I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
He's genuinely surprised. That's a really touching time.
Yeah.
And of course, I saw when he died, NBC presented it. Rush Limbaugh dies. Man who was a Trump-awarded Presidential Medal of Freedom, known for his racist, homophobic, misogynist remarks.
Of course.
Which, listen, the thing is, people would say racist. You see this all over Twitter. Do you know when he was talking about Snerdley? He's a black guy. The one guy in his studio he would talk to, a really big black guy. Like a guy who Suge Knight would look like, oh, don't mess with him.
Yeah. He's taking his life in his own
And he
hands,
was with
apparently.
Rush forever. Rush had very, very loyal employees. To know him was to love him. And I know he had several marriages. Look, I'm not here to say that Rush was a perfect person.
Right.
He was a flawed person. He had a painkiller addiction. Now, that came from him actually having pain and injury, and then that spiraled out. He wasn't going down looking for heroin. There's a big difference between advocating for legalizing all drugs and saying they're inconsequential, and Rush Limbaugh saying, you know what, I developed a problem, and I'm getting some help. And people try and use that against him and then say we have a mental health epidemic in this country. Rush Limbaugh is a perfect symbol for what the left says versus what they believe.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the liberals hated him so much. I don't know if you remember this, but didn't they try to start their own, I think it was Janine Garofalo and some other people, if I'm remembering correctly.
Was it Air America?
Yeah, Air
Radio
America or something like that. And it just failed spectacularly.
Al Franken had a show.
Al Franken was part of it.
Because they were furious. So this is something a lot of people don't know. Newer conservatives, they were really mad because they felt, why do we only get ABC, CBS, CNN,
every other thing.
NBC, MSNBC, and why does he get all of AM radio? And they said, well, there are plenty of available stations. Nobody wanted it. He went there.
Yeah.
They tried, and they failed. Because the AM radio format, 3 hours of talking, you better be interesting, and you better be right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't close. And AM at the time, I remember listening in my dad's truck. It was like WBAP sports radio. It was a lot of church programs. It was like all these programs who couldn't get enough following to justify FM radio status were on there, and it was just like a wasteland. You know, if you weren't listening for sports, you pretty much broadly weren't listening to AM at all.
And they tried to create legislation, which you can look this up, the Fairness Doctrine, where they were saying you had to offer equal opportunity, equal points of view on radio, but it wouldn't apply to the main networks.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't apply to CNN.
Yeah, exactly.
It would only apply, because and this was the problem that people had, that I had with the Fairness Doctrine back then, if you look it up with the FCC. CNN was considered neutral, so they didn't need to have equal time or opportunity.
Yeah.
So it would just be MSNBC would be the one that'd say, okay, equal time, but Fox News and Rush Limbaugh, but CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS are going, well, that's real journalism. They didn't need equal opportunity for the New York Times podcast if they had radio. They thought that, well, we need to even this out, because the one sort of bastion of conservatism, the one place where someone was being effective, was a lone warrior. It was Rush Limbaugh. And you need to understand this. It's not only soldiers who get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And we've talked about this with Jocko. On the air, because he works with businesses now.
Yeah.
And he said, you're working with people, you're dealing with their lives in the military, but he said in a lot of ways, it's harder dealing with businesses because you're dealing with people who are responsible for everyone's livelihoods.
Yeah.
The Medal of Freedom is generally given to someone who's taken a risk, who's faced extreme adversity. And you can't say that is not the case about Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah. No.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, too, right?
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So I have a lot more. We'll talk about Rush Limbaugh, and I want to hear your stories. But first, actually, I know that, listen, we've had power. We haven't lost power. My heart goes out to people who don't have power, and we want to be able to help you. So actually, we sent Thomas Finnegan on the ground to give you some tips on how to keep warm and stay safe. Thomas Finnegan on the ground. Okay, Thomas Finnegan, are you there? Can you hear me, sir?
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you? What are you doing?
Well, Stephen, in these frigid temperatures and my house being out of power, I thought it would be good to show everybody how to stay warm in these poor conditions.
Oh, that's good. Show us how.
What we're going to do is you have to go around your house and find items that you think will burn, and then you simply add the element of fire, and then you'll be warm. You'll be able to keep your family
making a fire
warm all through the night.
Yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily relevant, but sure.
And you don't want to use the tree limbs because they have snow on them, so they're not going to burn too easy.
Well, I don't think people are going grabbing tree limbs.
No.
So
Okay, I'll try one more. Hang on. You got to block the wind.
I don't think the wind is your primary problem.
So you see, it's starting. It just takes a few tries, and
it's not starting at all, Thomas.
There we go. Okay. You do that a few times. Make sure you have...
Okay, you know what? We'll check back in once he gets started, Thomas Finnegan. Thanks, sir. So
I hope he's okay.
He'll be fine. We'll check back in
just
with
him
him.
and his camera.
He has some other stuff to show us, hopefully better than the fire.
Yeah.
Rush, he was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame. That was a big one because it was the top-rated show, broadcast out of ABC. Like I said, 27 million listeners. And Rush, actually, a lot of people don't remember this. He single-handedly, this is, overlay from the Los Angeles Times, Smooth Manny, because we have drunken Asians here.
That's true. They can't do overlays and drink.
Hold on, let me check it. Let me see you guys. Let's see.
That
we got, look, Tokunawan.
I'm going to kick his
already
powerful.
Yeah. Let me see Mini Choi.
Wow. I mean, I don't think I see it that much right now.
No, the lighting is a little bit more harsh on you, but you're still just yellow.
Yeah, very yellow.
You're still just yellow. Average Asian. I mean, yellow. What do you prefer?
Yellow.
Okay, yellow.
Well, that's got to be offended. You should be offended.
You can pick slope, whatever works best.
Wow.
I want to make sure
we're making him comfortable.
Yeah, we're making him comfortable. Tokunawan's already soused.
Yeah.
He single-handedly got Newt Gingrich elected. A lot of people don't realize he was made an honorary Republican because of what he did when the Republicans took the House for the first time in a generation. Yeah. This is a guy who had a lot of power. That's why the left hated him. They were afraid of him. This was a guy who affected political discourse and changed the direction of the Republican Party, bringing it back to something more conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only, like you said just a minute ago, the tagline for his death basically was he's a racist, homophobe thing. That's the only thing that they could throw at him was, oh, he's a racist. Oh, he's somebody that we can't beat, and so now we have to try and tear him down. Mm-hmm. It's the same playbook they've been using all the way up to Donald Trump. We can't beat him. We don't like what he's doing. He's doing something different. And he's taking our audience. He took basically social media. That was what Barack Obama basically laid claim to in his presidency.
Right.
And he came and took it, and they're like, oh, crap, they just took our ball. How do we beat him?
Right.
Racist,
Rush
sexist,
Limbaugh comes to mind.
homophobe.
We called him a racist, a homophobe.
Yeah.
We don't have that on Donald Trump.
Remember when he
We'll
called
go
Sandra
racist.
Fluke? Did he call her a whore or a slut because she was going before Congress demanding free birth control?
I think so.
And I was like, well, listen, hold on a second. If you were having... and Sandra Fluke said she couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
She's like, well, what if we can't afford condoms? If you are having so much unprotected sex with strangers on college campus that you can't afford 25-cent rubbers at a truck stop and you're demanding our taxpayer dollars and we can't use the word slut, then you can't use it ever.
It's just we can't have that word.
Voids all meaning.
So they just say misogynist, and people would see from misogynist, and then when they understand the story, they go, oh, yeah, that's pretty slutty.
She's having so much sex, she just doesn't want to.
Here's one, too. A lot of people don't remember this. In 2008, this is why I think Rush Limbaugh really liked President Trump, even though at the time a lot of people were apprehensive because they didn't think Donald Trump would govern very conservatively. You know, he was a Democrat in New York for a long time. Yeah. Or at least Democrat-Republican, wasn't consistently conservative.
Yes.
But they were both agents of chaos. This was in 2008. If you don't remember this, and I know some of you are young who watch this, he actually urged his listeners to register as Democrats. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah.
And vote for Hillary in the primary. This was against Barack Obama, and it was dubbed this campaign Operation Chaos. Here you go.
The success, or the definition of the success of Operation Chaos, is just that. Is there chaos? The original purpose of this before the Texas and Ohio primaries was to make sure that Obama got bloodied up politically. He was riding the messianic trail at the time. The McCain campaign had sworn they were not going to criticize Obama. Who better than the Clintons to do it? But for that to happen, the nomination process needed to be extended. She needed to stay in. Our purpose is not to see that either one of these people get the nomination. It is to see to it that neither of them get it by virtue of the primaries, that the superdelegates have to make the choice and cause ultimate chaos.
And this is something, too, that people don't remember. Yeah. It was going to be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it was,
remember, it was
a coronation for her, yeah.
And then all of the celebrities said, woman, because the whole sexism thing wasn't really a big deal. At that point in 2008, they acted like it was settled, and now all of a sudden we're systemically sexist again. Yeah. So they said, woman who, rented an apartment in New York and became a senator like after 2 weeks, or junior senator we know nothing about. He's a black guy. They all switched and supported the black guy. That's what happened. Yeah. And Clinton was furious. And so what they wanted to do,
can't catch a break.
She was expecting a coronation, and also she was shaking. So she couldn't catch a break. Then Rush Limbaugh decided to extend this into the primaries because Hillary Clinton had such an ego. Yeah. She was fighting for that celebrity endorsement to come back, and it really did bloody up Obama going through the primaries there. Unfortunately, at that point, it was John McCain. So Barack Obama won. That's one for you, Democrats.
He was not very exciting as a candidate.
Something else, too, that people don't remember, and then I'll get into kind of how I first heard Rush Limbaugh. To be fair, I've told you, I didn't really listen to him growing up because I didn't have access to it. We had to pirate AM radio from Plattsburgh, and at that time of the day, we couldn't really get Rush Limbaugh. There was an opposing station that had, like, Dennis Prager and Michael Medved. Yeah. But then I had a friend I found out on the bus. This was the first time I found another conservative in Canada. On the bus, the 225 on the way home. Used to go down Tash Row and then Churchill, Victoria. Okay? Anyone who's from Greenfield Park, South Shore, comment below. You'll remember that. And I remember him talking about Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And he said, I said, you know Rush Limbaugh? He said, yeah. And I said, how do you? He said, I listened to it online. And he was telling me this was before podcasts, and you had to like get a local radio station, find a radio station that was doing the streaming. And I didn't have a computer with those capabilities. I had a laptop where the only thing I could do was type or play this game Lemmings in black and white.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So then I would go over to his place and listen to Rush Limbaugh a little bit. And I just said, what is this? This is incredible. This guy he's just saying whatever he wants. And it was never mean. It was never vulgar. It was never terse. It was edgy. But that was a big part of my development. I would say more so with this show, David Letterman, John Stossel, because I used to watch him after TGIF, and he'd get on 2020. Give me a break. Even though environmentalists say the Hudson River is incredibly polluted, I'm willing to do this, and he'd jump in.
Right after My Wife and Kids.
Yeah, that's right. It was after. At first, it was Step by Step. But I can only take Patrick Duffy in small doses. But here's something else too. Rush Limbaugh. He was canceled before this term cancel culture was a thing. And I wrote the treatment for the book Change My Mind when I was at Fox News, and I pitched it to every major publisher, and they said no. And there wasn't really a term for cancel culture, but it had a whole chapter on it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a term for SJW. I called them modern leftists. I called them American idiots and modern leftists. American idiots were the people who went along with it, who were sort of Democrats by default, and modern leftists were the SJWs and academia and celebrities. Because there was no words to describe it. Yeah. And Rush Limbaugh would run into this. There weren't words to describe cancel culture. But this was back in 2003. You probably know this better than I do. He had a stint in the NFL as a commentator with ESPN.
Yeah. Short stint.
He was a short stint.
Very short.
I think you would have to duke it out with Dennis Miller for shortest stint. And it was for entirely different reasons, just that no one understood Dennis Miller. Well, now you're looking at Warren Sapp, who's looking at that ball like a widescreen IMAX photographer, like Diedrich Ferguson, who's there at the end of a CPAP.
Great field of vision.
Back to you, kid. I love the cut of your jib.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with football? Well, listen, when you're talking about American sports, you're talking about Redskins who used to play the cross to the death for 4 days at a time. So all of a sudden, throwing a football behind a chalk yard line doesn't seem like it's all too concerning. Back to you, kid. You're fired. Well, that makes sense when you consider, Dennis.
Cut his mic. Cut it.
So Rush was on ESPN. He was a commentator, and he was forced to resign after, I have to look at this because I have to get the name right. I know nothing about football.
It's okay.
He made these comments about the Eagles quarterback.
Correct.
And who was it?
Donovan McNabb. He was on.
No, hold on. Don't give us the commentary. And you are red.
He is very red.
Oh, my God.
He needs to stop drinking.
He was on the cover of Madden.
He was on the cover of Madden. Okay.
Yeah.
So Donovan McNabb, these were the comments that got Rush Limbaugh canceled in 2003 from ESPN.
Donovan McNabb is regressing. He's going backwards. And I'm sorry to say this, I don't think he's been that good from the get-go. I think what we've had here is a little social concern in the NFL. I think the media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well. We're interested in black coaches and black quarterbacks doing well. I think there is a little hope invested in McNabb, and he got a lot of credit for the performance of this team that he really didn't deserve. The defense carried this team.
Listen, come on. You have all the running positions.
Come on.
Can we just have? Can the white guys just have quarterbacks in golf?
He should have been a running back because we're going to bring up the stats in a minute, but he had more rushing yards than he did passing yards.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean,
apparently he was right about Donovan.
The Eagles.
He's definitely right.
They scored 3 touchdowns that game. I think Donovan McNabb was responsible for 0 of them.
0
rushing or passing. He had like 17 yards passing.
He got sacked twice.
He had more rushing yards. He got sacked twice. Exactly. His passing completion was really low.
It was 14 yards.
Like 16%, 62%, I think.
Yeah.
Well, his overall point was accurate, right? And so it's not racist to say that the NFL has a diversity program in place. They do. They have to. It's called the Rooney Rule. They have to interview black head coaches and for other coaching positions, right? Because they want more diversity. Fine. His point was, hey, this feels like we're putting too much pressure on this guy.
Right.
That's basically what he was saying to defend almost Donovan. Like, hey, I don't think he was that good from the start. You guys are saying he's the Messiah. He comes in and underperforms.
Yeah.
And now you're crapping on him.
Guess what? The same thing happened with Vince Young.
Yeah.
Vince Young, there's a QB IQ test, okay? The quarterback IQ test. And we're not saying IQ raises quarterback IQ test.
NFL, can you be a good NFL quarterback?
Can you be a good NFL quarterback?
Yeah.
Vince Young, my brother was in school with Vince Young. He was unbelievably won the Rose Bowl.
National championship. Best game ever.
With the NFL quarterback IQ. This is a disaster waiting to happen.
More?
Vince Young scored less than statistical random.
Really? So if you just randomly answered the questions, you would do better.
If you had a spider monkey throwing darts
How
at
do
the
you do
answers, it would do better.
That doesn't surprise me a whole lot.
But they put a lot of pressure on him. The guy broke down.
He did. He had a mental
That's not
breakdown, which
fair.
was terrible.
They should have had a tip-off with Vince Young when he bought all of the seats to a Southwest flight.
And just
Yeah, and which is funny because they don't even have first class, period. So he could have actually chartered a private plane. He was like, he took a picture. Remember, he's like, I got my own plane. And there were two people who he couldn't get to give up their seats in the back. And then they're just like, thanks, Vince.
The other thing, too, about this clip that we played, like, Limbaugh goes on to say, like, you got to give credit to the defense. He wasn't trying to shit on Donovan McNabb. He was saying McNabb wasn't the reason they won this game. It was the defense played really well.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's bad to say, okay, we want inclusive, we want the NFL to be more inclusive, and we're putting pressure on people to perform in these positions. And you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Do it because he's a great quarterback.
Well, he was the first guy. A lot of people don't realize this. Rush Limbaugh was the first guy to talk about, wokeism and encourage people to think logically. Basically, what you know now is, facts don't care about your feelings. Ben Shapiro has said that.
Yeah.
Or often the change my mind. Change my mind. That was sort of the seedling for a lot of this. Now, he didn't go out and do change my minds. And this is a guy, by the way, who was largely deaf toward the end of his career. People don't know that.
Yeah.
But he was the first person to describe sort of the social justice warrior culture, the culture of censorship from the left. And it scared a lot of liberals because here's the thing. Remember, they always used to say that's a conspiracy, right? Oh, why are you being so radical? Keep in mind, Rush Limbaugh was around when he said they want to take your guns away. They said this is just some crazy conspiracy theorist. And then they did the assault weapons ban, which made the whole country like California, where this legal, pistol grip, illegal.
Oh, it's scary.
And by the way, gun crime didn't work.
It didn't work.
It did not work under
it didn't
Clinton.
work.
And then it was rescinded because of the stupidest bill ever.
Because they want it back.
And I think it's pretty clear to see. Look, I don't want to remember him just from the last portion of his life.
Yeah.
But in his own words, this was his last broadcast for those who missed it.
My point in all of this today is gratitude. My point in everything today that I share with you about this is to say thanks and to tell everybody involved how much I love you from the bottom of a sizable and growing and still beating heart, because I've learned what love really is during this. Even in the most dire circumstances, if you just wait, if you just remain open to things, the good in it will reveal itself. And that has happened to me as well. But I don't believe our darkest days are ahead of us. I never have. Like people have been asking, you've always told us it'd be time to panic. It's never time to panic, folks. There's never, ever going to be time to give up on our country. It'll never be time to give up on the United States. It'll never be time to give up on yourself.
And we'll have something else that I want to play, and I want people to remember him when he was healthy. But still, that's the message he espoused for a long time. And people have used that term "happy warrior." I've said this. Sometimes people say you're just peddling hopium. No, listen. I think that we're going to face some dark times here, and we have some challenges with Joe Biden. But I do believe that we still live in the greatest country on the face of the earth that's ever existed, and there are systems and checks and balances that can correct it. And I know a lot of you have lost faith in our institutions. So have I, especially after this last election. Mm-hmm. But the solution is not just to say, well, I'm not going to vote.
Yeah.
The solution is not to say, well, I'm just not going to, it doesn't matter anymore. Look, maybe you feel as though we're in a tough spot with the election. Maybe you feel that we're in a tough spot with Joe Biden and them having control of the House and the Senate. But look, this show, keep in mind, in 2009, and you can go to Crowder Bits and watch Crowder Classics, where I was talking about Joe Biden being a demented old circus monkey back then.
Yes.
He's gotten older since
Just so you know, no one was paying me then, and I pay me now. People are like, who's paying you? Go back to 2009, where I had Jason Priestley sideburns and a blue bed sheet. I wasn't taking big Koch brother money, and fracking wasn't a thing. I didn't get fracking money.
It was 300 thread count, too. It wasn't even a good bed sheet.
It wasn't even a good bed sheet. I almost slept on that shit. So it is there, but people often use this sort of this negativity, this pessimism, as an excuse to absolve yourself of what you can do. You don't think that Rush Limbaugh went through some years where, listen, he was there for the whole Clinton administration. He was there for the whole Barack Obama administration. He was there for the attacks on Donald Trump, right? He was there the whole time, and he didn't just say, well, it's time to give up. Listen, this is proof positive. Sure, maybe there are some issues where I think we need to strengthen, for example, election integrity. That's what I'll say. We need to definitely make sure that elections are secure and we don't have mass mail-in voting. I think there's a way down the line, if we play it right, that we can make some corrections. But something else. This show right now, this is now the #1 conservative show on any online platform, online platform, and most news platforms. There's no way this could have happened in 2009.
Yeah. Exactly.
There was no one. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's why the Young Turks used to go after me, because they had 1 million subscribers and I had 40. And there was nothing that we could do. You guys have made this what it is. You guys have created this new movement. And if you keep doing that, there will be more programs like this. Look, think just this show. The Hodge twins weren't conservative. Dave Landau wasn't. Brian Callen hadn't come out of the closet. There's so many people who've now decided that it's okay for them to take part in this fight. Look at Gina Carano. She's being bold now.
Yeah.
She was forced to, but you know what? She kind of knew. She kind of knew it was coming, and she made that decision. People in positions of power and influence are becoming bolder because of we all owe it to Rush Limbaugh initially. And that's allowed us to create this, to make you bolder, to make you understand that you're not alone. That is very powerful. There is good coming down the pike. I don't say that falsely.
Yeah.
I try and shoot you straight and tell you when things look grim. This is not the end of the line. And if nothing else, believe that and act on that to honor probably the most influential and greatest conservative of our time, Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think looking back on kind of the 90s with Bill Clinton, I don't know, one of my
puffy coats.
Well, exactly. One of my earliest memories was hearing him, start his program by day 362 of America held hostage.
Right.
And he would always start, and I was just like, what the hell is that all about? And I would jump in and listen to the show and kind of learn a little bit about him. But he was facing down really dark days with Bill Clinton. Like, a sleazeball governor is now coming to the White House. This sexist guy is going to come in and do all these terrible things, and he pushed back. He didn't.
You can argue that under Clinton, the budget was balanced because of Rush Limbaugh. Because they called it the Rush Limbaugh caucus. You had Newt Gingrich come in, they got control of the House, and they started controlling the purse strings. Wasn't ideal, but that's why a lot of people look back and think that Bill Clinton was more of a moderate. It's because he didn't have a choice.
He was forced.
And at that point, conservatives, Republicans were beholden to people like Limbaugh. Because they knew that's the megaphone going out to our audience, and we better hold ourselves accountable to them. So politicians are only accountable to you through people like Rush Limbaugh, and God willing, I don't put myself in that bracket now, ourselves. Right now, it's just a bunch of us trying to fill that gap, meaning but no one will ever be Rush Limbaugh, but a few of us can rise up and then help keep conservatives accountable for you. Dan Crenshaw has some splaining to do. Hasn't been back on the show. A little bit pissed off with some of the stuff that he's done. You saw me go in a little bit with Ted Cruz. I still like the guy. But there are a lot of Republicans who are dead to me. And guess what? They fear us speaking out against them because they fear you. And that's the same reason that the left feared Rush Limbaugh. They knew that the guy had impact. For crying out loud, feminazi is a term because of Rush Limbaugh. He invented it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Called Sandra Fluke a slut.
I remember
Classic.
that.
But here in Russia, do you remember when you first heard Rush Limbaugh drunken token on? By the way, hey, Troy Jr., you're getting a little pink.
Yeah.
You are coming in.
All right.
There it is.
we go.
He's also feeling really nice.
I come to win. He is not going to beat me.
Now, how do you guys feel it at all? Do you feel drunk?
Dude, I felt it before the show when I poured my beer like a jackass.
You cheated.
No, I didn't cheat. I poured my beer too fast, so I had a little bit left in the bottle, and I drank that, and I was like, oh.
Well, that's cheating.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's cheating.
He's
just
microdosing.
like your people do with the economy.
The camera does not do that justice, by the way.
You like devaluing the currency, do you? All right, what's your story about Rush Limbaugh?
Let's go.
You know what? For me, it really. I heard mostly about Rush Limbaugh on like the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and so your tweet about like the left being afraid of him, it rang true for me because that's all they would do.
Yeah.
When it came to Rush, like they would always try and highlight, oh, this controversial thing he said. Oh, he's
Right.
a racist. He's he's a terrible human being.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I saw him,
Yeah.
viewed him, like in my formative years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later where I heard him more like in context, and I was like, oh, this guy's speaking truth.
Well, I want to tell this, and the thing is, I don't know how to tell it without it sounding self-aggrandizing because I didn't believe it at the time. But that man right there, Andrew Breitbart, when he saw that I had been fact-checked at CPAC, where they said that I yelled the N-word and I didn't, I was dressed as Thomas Jefferson.
I remember that.
And said the word knickers.
With K's.
With K's.
K's.
And there was even a joke where we had a black producer where we stopped the record and he looked and we said, no, I can say knickers because I wear knickers. That was the joke.
That's the joke.
But they cut it and I got called into the Fox News office. And then the next year they said that I made a joke about raping Ashley Judd, where it was a joke about Ashley Judd saying that purchasing an Apple phone is akin to raping the environment. But I remember Andrew Breitbart talking with me and he said, when I see that now this has happened 2 years in a row, you're in good company because they're attacking you in a way that they're not attacking the politicians here speaking. They attack people like Rush Limbaugh and yourself. And he said, and that's because they're afraid of Rush Limbaugh. We know that, but for some reason they're afraid of you. So you need to be aware of that and do your due diligence and wait for the time to storm the castle. But you have a target on you, and I've seen it that not everyone has. Let's go have a drink or four. And I remember him talking about that. Not, really moved me.
Yeah.
Do you have something to say here?
Yeah, I mean, there was another part of that story. Like, you not only did you have a target on your back, but just like I'm sure Rush Limbaugh experienced earlier in his career, trying to find that niche. Like, I'm not sure that Rush went to AM radio day one, right, and tried to make it work there. I think there was probably other stuff. Somebody can fact check me on that.
He went there because it was the only thing he just
Nobody
said,
else would let him.
I'm going to do my own thing.
Right, yeah.
And that was me. Remember, I went to a station in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I said, as long as you let me keep the rights. And then it got syndicated. And then I said, what am I doing this stupid radio clock for? Let me go online. But you remember that. We were up in the morning in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
There were so many of those moments. And the reason I tell this story is not just to help people see a little bit more about the behind the scenes for you. It's to say that could be you. Right? Yeah. Rush Limbaugh could very easily have not been the Rush Limbaugh that we know today if he had not taken a risk, if he had not gone out in his community. And it doesn't take going and starting a channel and going, I've got to have 100,000 followers tomorrow. It can take 5 minutes of you saying, hey, like, here's a conservative principle that I believe in this conversation, and 2 or 3 other employees may go, gosh, I'm glad there's another conservative here. Maybe somebody I can talk to now.
And you know what else I will say? Rush Limbaugh was flawed, but you can go back to 2009 since I started just talking with a bed sheet, and then I had a podcast in Fox News, and you can see a lot of rise and fall of sort of conservative new media stars.
Yeah.
And what I would say is the fall with most of those people is that they didn't live it. It wasn't always sincere, and I'm not going to name any names. Rush Limbaugh, was he flawed? Sure. People will point to, multiple marriages. Okay, and there's Mr. Family Values, divorces. Listen, doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in marriage. Mr. Family Values got addicted to painkillers. Well, that's one of the biggest problems in the United States right now. But no one could ever say that Rush Limbaugh was insincere and didn't believe what he espoused. And that's why this show is, I think that's a big reason, because I'm not that talented, that this show has consistently grown. Listen, you can smell it on me. You can go back and look when not only was I not making money, I was guaranteed to lose money, and same thing with Rush Limbaugh on AM radio.
Exactly.
There was no money in AM radio, and he said, I don't care, I get to do what I want, my own thing. So I really do admire him, and I just want everyone to, I don't know if there are great biographies out there, but to really appreciate the impact that he had on media and on the political landscape, and there's really nobody out there who can fill his shoes, and the best that we can do is try and help fill that void so that you don't feel alone. But right now we also, you know what, here, before we go, this is something, I remember I was there this year at CPAC. This might have been the year that Andrew Breitbart had that conversation with me. Rush Limbaugh, I want you to hear, this is what I think perfectly crystallizes what he was all about.
Let me tell you who we conservatives are. We love people. When we look out over the United States of America, when we are anywhere, when we see a group of people, such as this or anywhere, we see Americans, we see human beings. We don't see groups, we don't see victims, we don't see people we want to exploit. What we see is potential.
Yeah. I remember he gave a speech similar to that when I was at a place in Los Angeles at the Reagan Ranch, and I didn't know that he was mostly deaf, and I thought, like, what a dick, because I said hi, and he just kind of looked at me, and I realized he's looking to read my lips, and then afterwards someone came over and said, like, oh, hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, he actually has seen some of your stuff and likes it, and I never had any personal interactions with him, but he was, and he's very shy, by the way. He's very, very gentle, very meek in person. Token Allen was just asking me if he could go pee. No, you can't go pee.
You gotta hold that in.
You made this bed, now you lay in it. But I'm surprised as to how much pinker you are than him. We might need to adjust the lighting and have you guys switch seats. Let's have you switch seats, and then we'll go back to you.
Well, and one more thing about Rush Limbaugh.
Move on. But
okay, all right.
Go ahead,
really quickly, I have him to thank for largely for my wife's political viewpoints, right? Because her mom listened to Rush Limbaugh 24/7.
Yeah.
So much so that when
my dad's the same way.
Yeah, when
always in the garage.
When my wife,
his dad's really black.
Yeah, he is a rarity. When she was buying a new car, her mom, she actually went over to the salesman and like pulled on his leg as like a really young kid and said, "Sir, does this car come with Rush Limbaugh in it?" Because she knew her mom wanted to listen to Rush Limbaugh all the time on the radio, and so one of our first dates,
the man who turned around was Rush Limbaugh.
It was Rush selling cars. Yeah,
I am.
Right. But one of our first dates, not first dates, probably 3 or 4 or 5 in, I can't remember. We went and saw Jordan Peterson, and I was like, this is perfect. Like, this girl has all of the same values that I have, which is much more important than some of the things people think are important for picking a wife.
And then she demanded you take her to a lobster dinner.
She did.
And toss some Prozac in the tank.
Boom.
Let's check back in, actually, right now. Thomas Finnegan, as we... and by the way, I really want to hear your comments, how you found out about Rush Limbaugh and how it's affected you, him passing. I know this isn't usually what we do here on the show. We have some information to get to on the town hall and the gun bill. But I do want to hear, because even for me, I'm not going to lie, I'm sad. I'm going to miss the guy. But we're still here to help you. We are not abandoning our post, and we are fortunate to have power. So Thomas Finnegan on the ground is going to continue showing you how to stay safe. Thomas Finnegan, let's go. Okay, Thomas Finnegan, are you there, sir?
Hi, Stephen. Another factor to keep in mind during these frigid temperatures is dehydration is still a factor.
Okay. What do you got?
When it's cold out and there's snow on the ground.
Yep.
And an important resource at your disposal is your own urine.
Oh, no.
Which is actually sterile.
Tom, come on.
It can keep you from dehydrating.
Nope, that's actually not true at all. Thomas, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't have to do that.
No.
Thomas, everyone, hold on a second. Let me talk. Can you hear? Don't do that. Don't do that. Thomas, we don't need you to do that. Why is he doing that? What happened? Why is he not stopping?
His earpiece is frozen.
Oh no.
How does the earpiece get frozen?
Oh
my gosh.
People at home, don't do this. That's not.
Oh my gosh.
Thomas, that's not what we do on the show. That's not.
You should also keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving and stay warm.
Yeah,
That's helpful. Do some aerobics.
You could do a snow angel.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no.
Rush would be proud.
Oh, no. You tried to stop him. You really did.
Let's go here to the Biden town hall. I know what happened. We did the extended interview with Alex Jones, by the way. It's like another hour and a half if you guys are Mug Club members at the Blaze, because some of it definitely could not be on YouTube.
Oh, no. There's some bombshells in there.
But here's the thing with Biden and the gaffes with the town hall. Biden, people make gaffes where they just say something out of turn. Maybe they misspell potato. Biden is remarkable in that he makes gaffes where he misspeaks, but it's also sort of intertwined. It becomes this amalgamate of misspeaking and being a compulsive liar. So it's also somehow accurately untrue.
Whoa.
By accident.
That's
he
too
can't
deep
get
for me.
something correct by accident. So let's go through a few of them. This is just a highlight reel of the worst mistakes he made, gaffes, and then we'll get to some specifics which were flat out dishonest.
Everybody knows I like kids better than people.
I saw a picture
The central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. Forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it.
Wait.
What can you?
Was that the word of the day?
No, I don't think that was the word of the day. No. Keep playing the clip.
Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow. I get up in the morning and look at Jill and say, where the hell are we?
I think the other was he said something.
What did he say?
What do you have that?
What
there?
did he say? That's what he said.
No, I think he did say it.
Where? Let
He
me
said
see.
it.
Go
He did
back.
say
Go
it.
back.
I'll play it again.
Go back. Let me see what this was.
Everybody knows I like kids better. And
Okay,
he
I don't want to hear
uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. Forceful. I said, and by the he said he.
What did he say?
He gets it.
Oh, that's the word of the day.
What did he say?
Whoever uses, comment below. It helps us with the algorithm on YouTube. Whoever most creatively uses "barahise" in a sentence, you get. In this case, you're going to get a skin graft from Tokenawan.
And spell it correctly.
Which
Let's see
can
who can
also be
spell
used to stain glass windows.
Oh, that's good.
Skin
to know.
graft.
It's just, I can't laugh anymore. It's a Kegel exercise.
Really?
Can I go pee?
Okay, fine. You can go
It's a
pee.
Kegel
Poor guy. Poor guy. Hurry up.
Oh
This is
my
a horrible
gosh.
program. Here's something else that Biden did,
Don't
which
waste
is
it.
remarkable to me.
Just keep running.
Biden said that he didn't have any vaccine at all when he came into office.
None
Did you hear this? He
whatsoever.
said,
Yeah,
when I came
zero.
into office,
Yeah.
we didn't have any vaccine. So here you go. Like I thought, no, he actually said this.
Remember when you and I shouldn't say it that way as you remember, but when you and I talked last, we talked about it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office.
Okay. So first off, here's the thing. Everyone knows that's a lie. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That is a lie. There's inaccuracies. There's untrue. That is a lie. But he say bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit is but he said.
There you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
But here's the one thing. It would be one thing to lie where you're disconnected from it. Like you lie about what's going on, in Uganda or something.
Right,
Because no one's going to be able to fact
Just
check
don't
you.
know.
But Joe Biden feels such a lack of accountability that the media will call him on anything that he lied about not having a vaccine when he is on camera getting said vaccine 2 months before he entered office. He got this vaccine in December. Here's the clip.
We've got a live shot there of President-elect Joe Biden.
He can't remember December.
His COVID-19 vaccine, but we
It was
are
a year
watching
ago.
and taking this live shot.
Yeah, but that's an important part. Every living president should have a shot at the same time on that television set.
And when that clip ends, he grabbed her ass.
Oh gosh,
sexist.
So it's just it is. And here's something else too that he claimed. He also said, "We're in our goal too. We didn't have the vaccine at all, but we're going to try and have 100 million vaccines in 100 days." Which, if you do the math, I think is if you do the 100 million vaccines. It's 1 million vaccines a day, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what Donald Trump did.
Oh, but he's taking credit.
When Biden got that shot, they were at the rate of 1 million vaccines a day. But Biden says we're going to do 100 million over 100 days.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What a shitty person.
Yeah, exactly. We'll set our goal at what you've already achieved. By the way, here's your argument. He didn't lie. Okay, fine. He didn't lie. He is so out of it that he doesn't remember getting a vaccine 2 months ago. That's your other argument. Which would you prefer?
Yeah.
He lied or he's out of his mind.
Or he can't remember.
How do you not remember getting a vaccine 2 months ago?
Pick.
Yeah, pick it. He's either crazy, he has dementia, or he is lying. And you know what? Listen, I'll be gracious here. I think it's a little of both.
Column A,
and let's not forget Joe Biden, who's said racist thing after. And let me be clear. I don't think Joe Biden is a racist.
No, not at all.
I do not think Joe Biden is a racist. I think he's an idiot.
That's different. That is different.
It is different. He said, Barack Obama, he's the first clean, articulate black man. First off, he's not the first clean, articulate black man. There have been many, so that's factually inaccurate. Also, maybe he doesn't remember most black people.
What is that? Oh my God.
And he said, it's like you can't go into a 7-Eleven without a slight Indian accent, which, by the way, doesn't even make sense. If you're saying you have to have an Indian accent, you're just imitating the cashier and being racist.
That's rude.
He meant to say you can't go into a 7-Eleven without seeing someone with an Indian accent, which, by the way, you want to bring in with open borders and mass cheap labor. So he's made so many races. It's very, very hard to keep track. But he did another one at this town hall, which I thought was particularly, if I were black, and sometimes I pretend to be, would be particularly unnerving. He said this about the minorities.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination at the Walgreens.
Here's the thing. He was so busy fixating on the catchphrase. He's like, I'm going to say they don't know how to get online to get in line.
Yeah.
What are you going to say before that? Colored folks and browns? Let's maybe smooth over the setup. Said that minorities didn't know how to get on. Hey, hold on a second. We happen to have some minorities here in studio. Smooth Manny from Columbia. Can you now? Can you see just actually register for COVID vaccine online?
There we go.
There's go. You know what? Token now, and you can do it as well at the same time.
Oh, I'm done.
You're done?
Nope.
Yep.
Found it?
Got it.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
That just proves it. Disproves it completely.
He expects that none of you will be able to do it. And he's drunk.
Yeah.
That's a drunken Asian who found it really quickly. That's the worst kind of minority to require fine motor skills.
That's going to get
Oh
clipped.
my gosh. You just said an entire group of people don't know how to get online.
Yeah.
That's basically.
No, multiple entire group. Blacks and Latinos?
Well, exactly.
Both of them
Like this is the one of many in a line of these kinds of things where they don't know how to get IDs either because it's racist to make somebody have an ID to vote because they can't figure it out, for the life of them. It's like, how can you possibly get away with saying things like this? If you want to say it's hard for low-income families to get online because they may not have a computer or internet access, fine, that's different. But don't throw this in.
I disagree.
They don't understand.
I don't even think that's fine. There are very, very few. There are very few poor people in the inner city.
I agree.
Who do not have a smartphone. I know. Who do not have any kind of a computer or who can't go to their public
But it's
library.
at least it's an argument you can try and make and not sound racist doing so, right? And so in him, he just is like, well, this will sound racist, so let's go that way.
In Biden's case, that is an argument that he could try and make and try to sound racist doing so.
Oh,
he might be able
to. It's
to.
almost an attempt. He's like an Olympic shot put of racism. He's like, all right, use the wrong term, and blacks don't have internet. Gold.
Wasn't he also racial jungle? Like he didn't want his kids
to grow up in a racial jungle.
Huh.
Listen, I don't think he's a racist. I think he's an old idiot.
Right.
And I think he's okay with stereotypes, which is kind of racist, but it doesn't mean that he hates black people.
But put these words in the mouth of somebody else that the media hates on the right, and they're racist.
Can you imagine if Rush Limbaugh said, "Listen, folks, black people don't know how to get online." They don't have the opportunity to use the internet because they listen, we can't expect them to be able to get online like white people. They're not the same as white people. We need to offer programs to federally subsidize the blacks and Latinos because they are fundamentally less capable of using the internet. There, I said it. That would be everywhere.
Oh, it would, absolutely. He would be canceled off of everything.
But Mr. Bosley himself, Bosley's a hair plug.
No, I got it.
Were you looking to say something there, Troy Jr.?
No, I'm good.
Were you looking to go to the bathroom? Is that what it was?
No, I'm set.
Okay. You guys just had a little.
Yeah.
You guys just had a little bit to drink. You didn't take shrooms.
You wouldn't know.
All right. Before we move on to the next story, the gun control and the crime wave. This is really important because it's really pervasive. They're trying to trick you into the biggest gun grab since the assault weapons ban. And they're using skyrocketing crime. By the way, it has nothing to do with guns. But before that, this is also important. This Z is the only way this. Person, TikTok, this is spreading around. Now it's a problem to talk about obesity and capitalism. Anyway, this is what will be coming to schools near you.
The obesity epidemic isn't real, and it shouldn't be an anti-capitalist talking point. When someone unironically references the obesity epidemic or even uses the word obesity, it tells me they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to fatness. This use of the word obesity stems directly from the BMI, which was created by a eugenicist with no medical training who based the scale only on white bodies and cow math. Fatness is not an epidemic. Fat people existed before capitalism and before colonization. Fat phobia is a direct result of anti-blackness, and it has consequences for many groups of indigenous folks and other people of color, as well as fat folks. When you make the obesity epidemic a real symptom of capitalism, you are not only ostracizing fat people from anti-capitalist thinking, but also actively ignoring that the health outcomes related to obesity are more accurately attributed to food deserts and fat-phobic discrimination in healthcare. The obesity epidemic was created by Western medicine to avoid addressing the actual causes of health inequity, which is what we as anti-capitalists should be doing.
There's so much there. She just said food desert. Does that mean that she's black or Latino? She can't get online and order Amazon Fresh? There's no such thing as a food desert anymore.
No, sorry.
And let's just go through, and we're going to circle back on this next week, but let's just go through the soft racism of low expectations that you see from the left today. Okay, we go back to Rush Limbaugh where they canceled him, where he was just saying, hey, look, this quarterback doesn't really have great stats. And I think this stems from the fact that people want to have a diversity quota for someone as a quarterback. He's not very good. They are desiring to have a black quarterback who's not as capable. Boom, that guy's canceled. Now you have Joe Biden saying black people cannot get online because they're not intelligent enough. They're not capable enough. They don't have the resources. Basically saying all black people are poor, living in ghettos, and they don't have the wherewithal to find internet access. And now here saying that, the fat phobia is a direct result of anti-blackness. You are saying that all black people are fat and it's outside of their control. And this person is trying to ensure that she can do whatever Z wants, because I don't want to get banned. I don't know if that's a male to female or male. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's someone from the Chaz Bono Lookalike Foundation. That's as close as I can get, as saying I shouldn't have to pay for my health care. And by the way, obesity is not a problem. And one other thing, and then I know Tokunawan's going to have a drunken slur, but one other thing here that really, really bothers me is with the trans thing, and I don't know why this doesn't bother more people, is it just creates a stereotype of women and men. What is it? Like, that's a beautiful, brave trans male to female. What is it? Makeup, giant fake tits. They look like a Barbie. Things that they would say are negative stereotypes, negative
more like a
standards
nightmare.
that are being put onto women, right? And then what do they think it is to be a man? Just be a fat guy. That's what they think. They think I take some stuff, I get fat, I have a double chin, I'm a man. No, men are far more than that, and women are far more than that. You have reduced them to a stereotype so that you can say you were born in the wrong body. I was reading an article about Fallon Fox and this 50-year-old who's playing college basketball with girls, and they both said, like, and no one ever, they were like, and when I came out to let them know that I was trans, they were shocked. Okay, no, they weren't.
No.
It's like when you give someone socks as a Christmas gift, like, they loved it. Oh, socks. What? You were a man? I couldn't tell by your size XXL gloves and 46-inch chest and 32 waist. I couldn't tell by your calves that looked like Sasquatch from one of the A&E shows. What?
Yeah,
but
you're 3 feet taller than the rest of the girls.
If they
on the
lose a
team.
single game, that coach needs to be fired. I mean, I don't understand how you lose.
Here's the thing, right? You can't say women are weaker than men. You're not supposed to say women are weaker than men, they're less athletic. Right. Therefore, women's sports are less interesting. You can't say that. But if you read these articles from Fallon Fox and from this 50-year-old playing college basketball with girls, they say, no one knew because of my strength and my endurance, they weren't any better than them. So right there, now we're okay with the stereotypes. You're saying, see, they couldn't tell because I'm weak, skinny, fat, and I have less fast-twitch muscle fibers, like the inferior woman. It's unreal to me that it's only acceptable when somehow we go to trans, all stereotypes are okay so that we can teach you the big lie.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's fatness, Stephen. It's
fatness.
It's like that's a protected group now. It wasn't one other body she was put into. It was 3 other bodies, apparently.
It's an epidemic. It's not healthy, and it's not beautiful.
No.
You were about to say something, Tokonoan?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was mainly about fatness, but my problem with that clip wasn't the fatness. Like, thank God for capitalism, because capitalism gave us the Gillette safety razor. Like, that pencil mustache was just like, it's all I could look at. I wasn't even listening to what she was saying.
This is the thing, too.
Hey,
they just
you said she?
Like Chaz Bono, she, Z. Listen, I don't want to get it wrong, but
Z's the catch-all.
This is the thing. They go, I know, I'll be a man, I'll get really, really fat, and they're putting Miracle Grow on their face. Like, look, I'm just like you, right? I'm just like you. No. Really bothers me is with the trans thing, and I don't know why this does.
We talked about.
I can't remember.
How do you not remember getting a vaccine 2 months ago? Browns. Let's maybe smooth.
This is the one of many in a line of these kinds of things where they don't know how to get IDs either because it's racist to make somebody have an ID to vote because they can't figure it out, for the life of them. It's like, how can you possibly get away with saying things like this? If you want to say it's hard for low-income families to get online because they may not have a computer or internet access, fine, that's different. But don't throw this in.
I disagree.
They don't understand.
I don't even think that's fine. There are very few poor people in the inner city.
I agree.
Who do not have a smartphone. I know. Who do not have any kind of a computer or who can't go to their public
But it's
library.
at least it's an argument you can try and make and not sound racist doing so, right? And so in him, he just is like, well, this will sound racist, so let's go that way.
In Biden's case, that is an argument that he could try and make and try to sound racist doing so.
Oh,
he might be able
It's
to.
almost an attempt. He's like an Olympic shot put of racism. He's like, all right, use the wrong term, and blacks don't have internet. Gold.
Wasn't he also racial jungle? Like he didn't want his kids
to grow up in a racial jungle.
Huh.
Listen, I don't think he's a racist. I think he's an old idiot.
Right.
And I think he's okay with stereotypes, which is kind of racist, but it doesn't mean that he hates black people.
But put these words in the mouth of somebody else that the media hates on the right, and they're racist.
Can you imagine if Rush Limbaugh said, listen, folks, black people don't know how to get online. They don't have the opportunity to use the internet because they listen, we can't expect them to be able to get online like white people. They're not the same as white people. We need to offer programs to federally subsidize the blacks and Latinos because they are fundamentally less capable of using the internet. There, I said it. That would be everywhere.
Oh, it would, absolutely. He would be canceled off of everything.
But Mr. Bosley himself, Bosley's a hair plug.
No, I got it.
Were you looking to say something there, Troy Jr.?
No, I'm good.
Were you looking to go to the bathroom? Is that what it was?
No, I'm set.
Okay. You guys just had a little. You guys just had a little bit to drink. You didn't take shrooms.
You wouldn't know.
All right. Before we move on to the next story, the gun control and the crime wave. This is really important because it's really pervasive. They're trying to trick you into the biggest gun grab since the assault weapons ban. And they're using skyrocketing crime. By the way, it has nothing to do with guns. But before that, this is also important. This Z is the only way this. Person, TikTok, this is spreading around. Now it's a problem to talk about obesity and capitalism. Anyway, this is what will be coming to schools near you.
The obesity epidemic isn't real, and it shouldn't be an anti-capitalist talking point. When someone unironically references the obesity epidemic or even uses the word obesity, it tells me they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to fatness. This use of the word obesity stems directly from the BMI, which was created by a eugenicist with no medical training who based the scale only on white bodies and cow math. Fatness is not an epidemic. Fat people existed before capitalism and before colonization. Fat phobia is a direct result of anti-blackness, and it has consequences for many groups of indigenous folks and other people of color, as well as fat folks. When you make the obesity epidemic a real symptom of capitalism, you are not only ostracizing fat people from anti-capitalist thinking, but also actively ignoring that the health outcomes related to obesity are more accurately attributed to food deserts and fat-phobic discrimination in healthcare. The obesity epidemic was created by Western medicine to avoid addressing the actual causes of health inequity, which is what we as anti-capitalists should be doing.
There's so much there. She just said food desert. Does that mean that she's black or Latino? She can't get online and order Amazon Fresh? There's no such thing as a food desert anymore.
No, sorry.
And let's just go through, and we're going to circle back on this next week, but let's just go through the soft racism of low expectations that you see from the left today. Okay, we go back to Rush Limbaugh where they canceled him, where he was just saying, hey, look, this quarterback doesn't really have great stats, and I think this stems from the fact that people want to have a diversity quota for someone as a quarterback. He's not very good. They are desiring to have a black quarterback who's not as capable. Boom, that guy's canceled. Now you have Joe Biden saying black people cannot get online because they're not intelligent enough. They're not capable enough. They don't have the resources. Basically saying all black people are poor, living in ghettos, and they don't have the wherewithal to find internet access. And now here saying that, the fat phobia is a direct result of anti-blackness. You are saying that all black people are fat and it's outside of their control. And this person is trying to ensure that she can do whatever Z wants, because I don't want to get banned. I don't know if that's a male to female or male. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's someone from the Chaz Bono Lookalike Foundation. That's as close as I can get, as saying I shouldn't have to pay for my health care. And by the way, obesity is not a problem. And one other thing, and then I know Tokunawan's going to have a drunken slur, but one other thing here that really, really bothers me is with the trans thing, and I don't know why this doesn't bother more people, is it just creates a stereotype of women and men. What is it? Like, that's a beautiful, brave, trans male to female. What is it? Makeup, giant fake tits, they look like a Barbie, things that they would say are negative stereotypes, negative standards that are being put onto women, right? And then what do they think it is to be a man? Just be a fat guy. That's what they think. They think I take some stuff, I get fat, I have a double chin, I'm a man. No, men are far more than that, and women are far more than that. You have reduced them to a stereotype so that you can say you were born in the wrong body. I was reading an article about Fallon Fox and this 50-year-old who's playing college basketball with girls, and they both said, like, and no one ever, they were like, and when I came out to let them know that I was trans, they were shocked. Okay, no, they weren't. It's like when you give someone socks as a Christmas gift, like, they loved it. Oh, socks. What? You were a man? I couldn't tell by your size. XXL gloves and 46-inch chest and 32 waist. I couldn't tell by your calves that looked like Sasquatch from one of the A&E shows. What?
Yeah, but you're 3 feet taller than the rest of the girls on the team.
If they lose a single game, that coach needs to be fired. I mean, I don't understand how you lose.
Here's the thing, right? You can't say women are weaker than men. You're not supposed to say women are weaker than men, they're less athletic. Right. Therefore, women's sports are less interesting. You can't say that. But if you read these articles from Fallon Fox and from this 50-year-old playing college basketball with girls, they say, no one knew because of my strength and my endurance, they weren't any better than them. So right there, now we're okay with the stereotypes. You're saying, see, they couldn't tell because I'm weak, skinny, fat, and I have less fast-twitch muscle fibers, like the inferior woman. It's unreal to me that it's only acceptable when somehow we go to trans, all stereotypes are okay so that we can teach you the big lie.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's fatness, Stephen. It's
fatness.
It's like that's a protected group now. It wasn't one other body she was put into. It was 3 other bodies, apparently.
It's an epidemic. It's not healthy, and it's not beautiful. No. You were about to say something, Tokunawan?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was mainly about fatness, but my problem with that clip wasn't the fatness. Like, thank God for capitalism, because capitalism gave us the Gillette safety razor. Like, that pencil mustache was just like, it's all I could look at. I wasn't even listening to what she was saying.
This is the thing, too.
Hey,
they just
you said she?
Like Chaz Bono, she, Z. Listen, I don't want to get it wrong, but
Z's the catch-all.
This is the thing. They go, I know, I'll be a man, I'll get really, really fat, and they're putting Miracle Grow on their face. Like, look, I'm just like you, right? I'm just like you. No. Just like if a man says that he's a woman in his late 30s and starts beating up a woman, he doesn't know what it's. Z doesn't. They say she's a woman. I don't know what it's like as a man to get your first menstrual cycle. I don't know what it's like to have to understand what it's like to carry a child. I don't know what it's like to go through these hormonal changes. And by the way, just because you say you're a man now, you don't know what it's like to have to hide your perpetual boner with a binder between classes every time the bell rings in high school because your brain starts wandering, or you have a teacher who, albeit was chubby, but you could not hide what she had to offer in my moral and religious education. This was really uncomfortable. She walked over and correct my paper, French Canadian. She's like, and okay, what did you get for B? I'm like, nothing. Just go away. Just go away.
Just give me an F. Give me an F. Just get out of here,
Let's
please.
stop acting like we fully experience each other's plight because we took estrogen or testosterone or put on a moo-moo. Okay, we're going to circle back to that next week with the fat pride stuff.
Do we have to?
We have to.
Okay.
Let's get to the common sense gun reform.
Common sense
gun reform. So this is after the 3-year anniversary of the Parkland shooting. We do have to get going soon, and we're going to have Dr. Choi, What's Up, Doc, where we're going to explain to you Asian rosacea. Guys, keep drinking. 3-year anniversary for Parkland. Biden called for Congress to enact common sense gun law. And keep in mind, before we move on with this, that this is the guy who thinks that blacks and brown people can't get online. And this is the guy who wants to take your guns away.
Not allowed to own anyway. I'm not taking that gun away at all.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait. Take your AR-14s.
It's a new gun.
Don't try me, pal.
Are you able to own machine guns? I said, are you able to own one? That's right. AR-15s are legal. How is that a machine gun? Well, it's not. Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds? In America, with handguns, there are what you call assault rifles.
I would love to see Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, do a Change My Mind.
Man.
We need to ban
so many words of the day.
guns. We need to ban machine guns. Like, well, okay, well, then I'm fine with my AR-15. It's not a machine gun. Do you think you need 100 rounds? What? I think I left the iron on.
You want to do some push-ups? What are you doing right now? Fat?
Yeah. Let me go find a guy in a wheelchair so I can make fun of him, and a black guy so I can mock him with my Sprint service that he never knows how to use.
You ain't black.
An AR-14 is not a thing, and it's not a machine gun.
It's brand new.
He's an idiot. And this is the guy who wants to now control your firearm. So this is they're predicating it. And by the way, you can see the full bill. We did it last week, I believe. We did it in depth what the actual bill is. This is more about the crime wave because they're using this as the springboard for the bill.
Yeah.
It's not true. Okay, it's not true that there's an epidemic of gun violence. So let me go through this really quickly. He referenced this last year. There's been a rise in violent crime. Okay, this says, and in this season of so much loss, last year's historic increase in homicides across America, including the gun violence disproportionately devastating black and brown individuals in our cities, has added. Okay, that's absolutely true. Now, crime was consistently going down, particularly violent crime, under Donald Trump, and it was going down mostly under Obama, outside of the 2016 riots, the Black Lives Matter riots, without common sense gun laws. Okay, so crime was going down, and then all of a sudden, it spiked, okay? It spiked. So, no change in the gun laws. What do you think actually led to an increase in national crime?
This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
Okay, good then.
What's happening here?
That looks like it was done by a guy named Bubba in West Virginia with an AR.
But for the most part, they have been very, very peaceful.
There's a car on fire behind him.
Yes, but
so
peaceful.
This is the one thing, too, that people don't understand. They say, well, actually, crime is going up because of COVID and people aren't saying, no. Okay, there's some truth to that, but the truth is you're not having an epidemic of first-time homicide, right? People who are committing homicide. You're not having a first-time violent felons. You're not having an epidemic of first-time arsonists. What you are having is violent criminals, serial violent criminals who are acting in a way that is completely unfettered because of a decreased police presence and because they feel emboldened by this administration, including Kamala Harris, who said they won't let up, they shouldn't let up, they should continue. I think that broad needs to be impeached, and not in the way she thinks, a weird sex term. She needs to be impeached. From office. Let me give you this really quickly. So police reform and specific laws that have been enacted, not to mention the rhetoric from the left, is what led to the increase in violent crime. After de Blasio, he cut $484 million from the NYPD budget. They had a 130% increase in shootings. Oops. Here's another policy that was really big. New York, they eliminated cash bail. So basically it becomes a revolving door of criminals. After they eliminated cash bail, 2 months after, in New York City, 482 people were released, and they committed 846 new crimes. Directly increased gun violence in New York City because cash bail, a lot of these people were gun criminals. Yeah. Here's something that you have from the New York Post, a bastion of conservatism, to be sure. 3,793 people were arrested on gun charges last year from January 1st to November 40th. Only 450 remained in jail. Out of almost 4,000, 450 remained in jail. Everyone else was out. Of the released, the 450, 247 were accused of a new crime within 60 days. Now, of those people, only 32 of those repeat offenders are in jail. People who committed violent crimes with firearms or knives or arsenry against their fellow citizen because racism.
What is it about Black Lives Matter that every time a peaceful protest breaks out with them, violent crime goes up?
They're criminals.
I mean, look at the spikes. We had it going down. BLM happens in 2016. Boom. Violent crime goes back up.
Right.
It starts going back down, and all of a sudden they need to peacefully protest and make sure they get their Nikes, and all of a sudden it goes back up again.
Yeah. And I don't. The truth is, New York is because New York actually was single-handedly responsible for a huge decrease in crime under Clinton because of Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
It's there are a few big cities now, really you can name them on both hands, that are responsible for the increased gun crime across the country. There is no increased crime in the suburbs, there's no increased crime in rural areas. It happens in liberally controlled, democratic strongholds like New York, where before this, they've had the strictest gun laws in the country. You can't conceal carry in New York without a sheriff signing off on it, and he really doesn't like you.
It's not going to happen.
Hey, can you find a sheriff in New York City?
I have no idea.
They don't have sheriffs.
But here's another thing, by the way. This is something that you can track. We have a chart here of violent crime surges to the letter. It coincides with riots. 68, 92, 2016, 2020. Right, after the 2015 riots with Freddie Gray, Baltimore police, they became much less aggressive in policing. Field interviews where police were approaching a suspect, they dropped by 70%. And suspected narcotic offenses dropped 30% because everyone got clean. Freddie Gray inspired everyone to say, I gotta put down this crack pipe. And then Hunter was just, look at all the crack pipes.
Free crack, everybody. Yeah.
That's all for me.
Like when I used to go to weddings and I used to just take the appetizers when I had no money.
Everybody loves crab cakes.
Baltimore, by the way, they broke their homicide record with 343.
Oh, good for you, Baltimore.
Yeah.
So that's not a good thing.
So common sense gun laws, like New York, stripping citizens of their right to protect themselves. And this is the thing, we don't want you protecting yourself. Call the cops. Well, there are no cops.
Yeah. You made sure of that.
You took away our guns, said call the cops. You took away our cops.
Just go out and fire that shotgun up in the air, and that'll scare them off.
Just a couple
and
blasts.
Be illegal at the same time. So you basically, in the police force, you just hit on this. It's not only did you tell every police officer out there that we're not going to give you enough money for the training that we think you need so that you won't go to the gun first, which is what they've been saying for years. Like they need more training, so they won't do that. We're also now going to make police officers public enemy number one and on everybody's hit list.
Yeah.
It's shocking to me that you have to pay people to come be police officers. Do you know why
I have people in the black community right now who think cops are killers and that it's a no snitching culture? Because Democrats have told them that police officers are going out there and lynching black people. Do you know why you have vaccine hesitancy in the minority communities who you are so unbelievably out of touch with, Joe Biden? Because you, Kamala Harris, and Cuomo said you wouldn't use the vaccine if it was developed under Donald Trump. And now you go, why aren't they taking the vaccines? It must be racism. No, it's you and your soft expectations of people who make up your voting constituency and the fact that you're not really interested in helping them. Okay, but speaking of helping people, we have to check in one more time to make sure that we keep you all safe. Thomas Finnegan on the ground. Okay, Thomas Finnegan, are you there, sir? Don't worry, he bounces back quickly.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Like the little bouncing Disney ball with the sing-along. We have to get going. We're going to have a What's Up Doc segment with Choi Jr.'s father, and he'll explain to us Asian rosacea. Everyone on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're a Mug Club member, go and watch there. Of course, comment as soon as this is up, because that's what helps us. Just like and comment if you want the show to continue. We are every day, 10 a.m. Eastern, well, Monday through Thursday. YouTube, I don't want to say, I would say thank you, but instead you can do a token, just piss off.
Hello, everybody. Today I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Dr. Gad Saad, a friend of mine, a colleague, an early supporter of mine when those were few and far between. When all the publicity emerged initially surrounding me and the videos I made regarding Bill C-16 in Canada. Gad was one of the first people to interview me, and he took, I would say, a substantial risk in doing so. We've stayed in contact since then, doing some podcasts together. We've done each other's podcasts. And we spoke together at a free speech rally in Toronto, and that's a couple of years ago now, 3 years ago, I think. Yep. 3 tumultuous years, to say the least. Gad has recently written The Parasitic Mind, How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense, and a number of other books as well, which you can see arrayed behind him. The Consuming Instinct, contributor to the evolutionary basis of consumption, if I remember correctly.
No, the sole author of that one, but the other one is the edited book.
Right, and that's evolutionary psychology in the business sciences.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Gad's book today, but a variety of other things too. So, and I think the conversation will naturally tend towards the topics that are outlined in the book. And in any case, so let's start with that. You talk about infectious ideas. Anyways, I should say it's very nice to see you, Gad, and thank you very much for coming on to this podcast.
You too, Jordan. It's so nice to have you back in the public sphere. I can speak for millions of fans. We've missed you, and I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, I tell you, for me, it's a lifesaver, man, to be able to come back after being sick for so long and to be able to jump back into doing this. I'm certainly not at my peak by any stretch of the imagination, but it's such a relief that I still have a life waiting to be picked up, and that I can ask people to come and talk to me, and they will, and I can start communicating with people again. It's literally a lifesaver, and I mean that most sincerely. So I really do appreciate you coming to talk to me, and I hope we get a long ways today. There's lots of things I want to talk to you about. You talk about infectious ideas, and let's talk about that a little bit. Your book, so I'm gonna take a bit of a critical stance to begin with, I think. Your book concentrates a lot on infectious ideas on the left. And of course, that's been a particular preoccupation of mine in recent years, although I spent a lot of my career dissecting infectious ideas on the right, because I was very appalled, as any reasonable person would be, about what happened. I mean, it's ridiculous to even have to say it, but I was preoccupied in some sense by what happened in Germany in the 1930s and the 1940s, and the infectious ideas that possessed that entire community, that entire country, and the devastating consequences of that. And so it's obviously the case that infectious ideas can emerge across the political spectrum, maybe even in the moderate center, but certainly on the right. But your book concentrates almost solely on the excesses, the ideological excesses of the left. And I'm wondering what you think of that as a scientist.
Sure. It's a great point that you raise, and I actually address it